All right, Ben, the big acquisition is Jack McGlynn, so tell us why he fits so well into what you want to do here.
Well, when we kind of have a profile of a player in our minds, we sometimes scan the whole world for this player. Sometimes I'm not looking within our league and maybe looking at maybe a young kid that fits that mold. And he came our way, and he was, again, the type of kid we want in our culture, behind the scenes and on the field. He fits exactly what we want. A ball progressor, a guy that's good on set pieces, a guy that can finish out plays and be a provider so we can score more goals. We didn't score enough goals last year. Defensively, we're pretty sound, and we're looking to increase that production.
I love the mechanics of deals like this. Can you give us some insight on when you were brought into the fold that this may be a possibility, and how long did it take? And ultimately, were you surprised that your team was able to get this done?
I was brought right into this one because I think they knew I was going to be excited about this. Usually there's a vetting process before it comes to me. But guys within our league, we already know and how they translates to our league. So that made this much more efficient. Now the deal with Philly and Houston, it took a little bit because there's other teams involved and it's complex, and it's also a new mechanism within the league where you can buy players within our league, much like other sports in our country. So it was I think the second highest deal with this mechanism that the league's ever seen. It's a new issue, but again, we're thrilled to have them. It probably took about a week to 10 days, which is pretty quick in the whole grand scheme of international soccer.
Was there any point that you were worried it wasn't going to get done?
Yeah, every 15 minutes. But that's how it goes on these deals. It's very, very complex when these deals come and you have a third team into it. They fall apart all the time. And you look at our off season, we've taken a few stabs at some players and they didn't work out, whether they didn't want it or the money was too high. To get a deal over the line is not easy, and we're thrilled with them. Already fitting into the group, and in the first game we threw him to the wolves, and he did great.
Obviously, with a major transaction like this comes major expectations. What should fans expect from him this season?
He's a young kid, so when you think about on the surface, he's replacing Hector Herrera. One of the guy that's been in several World Cups and played all over the world, some of the greatest teams. So those expectations are real. But we also, because we know him and we know enough people around him, we can vet that process too, whether or not he can handle that. It's our responsibility now to bring in other pieces around him, and we still plan on bringing 2, 3, 4 new pieces to this team. So all the focus isn't on him. He is still young, and he still has more games to grow and figure out exactly who he is as a player. But we like his foundation. We like what he's about. And so we have to foster that and also get players around him so it's not all on him.
You mentioned scoring goals. You've mentioned it in the past. Ezequiel Ponce seemed to have this ability to put the ball in the net. What is the next step for him other than just scoring more goals?
Yeah, well, take the goals away from Ezequiel. When you watch him, his defensive output, the way he defends for us is, I think, as good as anybody in the league for a forward. A lot of forwards, just all they think about is scoring goals, and sometimes that's enough. He's a guy that is very selfless in his defensive work as well. So that's the starting point when we look at bringing in a forward. But yeah, they got to score goals, and he did that last year, every other game on average. We'd like to increase that this year. More time with our offensive crew. Hopefully he can start to build some relationships so he can get more looks. We have to be more clear to our group on the final third, how we're going to finish out attacks. And that means having more players, being predictable in where they're going to provide him the ability to put up big numbers, because we need him, in that 15 goal plus range. this year. We think he has the ability to do it, but it's not just on him. We know he can finish. We got to provide him.
The first 3 preseason matches, your group has scored a total of 7 goals. How much do preseason results matter to you in the overall grand scheme of thing when it comes to getting ready for the season?
You know, we always say results don't matter, but it always matters. We've been doing this forever, where results always matter, and so they don't matter like they do in the regular season. But I will say that the goals matter even more right now for us. So I think it depends on where you're at and how comfortable you are with, who's out there and where you're at in your, development as a team. Right now, we've been putting a lot of focus on the offensive side and scoring goals. So to see that translate into these games, that's a positive. That gets more buy-in from the players that we may actually know what we're doing at times as a coaching staff. And it just gives us confidence going in. As I said, defensively, we're pretty sound and will continue to be hard to break down. If we can add, a goal store, put up big numbers in the offensive end, I think it should be a good season.
So if I'm reading you correctly, you seem pretty pleased by what you've seen thus far.
Yeah, improvement every game is what you want to see at this point. We're healthy, and a new acquisition in Jack has come in and fit in very quickly. So overall, we're moving into the right direction for sure. So now it's just improving each game, building the fitness, and also, as I said before, we need a few new players. We need bring in some depth and some competition. And it's no secret that we're looking for a big dog, a designated player at some point. Whether that happens sooner or later, we're going to be bolstering this roster.
So is Pat not doing his job when it comes to those things? Like, what's going on here?
That's what I tell him. That's what I keep telling him. And, he just shuts the door and tells me to go coach. And I tell him to get me more players. And he tells me to go coach, But we go way back, so we can talk to each other that way.
The schedule is the schedule, but to have FC Dallas and Inter Miami, possibly with Messi, right near the front, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Does it matter?
I'm not sure if it matters. The start of the season always brings, a certain amount of hype and anticipation. It's nice to start off with Dallas, an in-state rival, a new coach, a new identity there. So we don't know really what to expect with them. And the Miami game is going to be great. We're excited about that. We're excited to host them, mostly because our fans and the community of Houston, it's a big deal. Wherever he goes, it's an event, and we've been public about trying to get more people in the stands and making it more of a fortress here as far as the energy and the atmosphere. And this is a great opportunity to show people in Houston that wouldn't usually come see us, but are coming to see them rather than us, that we got a pretty good product here that's worth coming back to.
I appreciate you saying it's not just another game.
Yeah, it isn't. Look, he is, he's the greatest of all time. And for people to, for our players to play against that, and a very good team, by the way, and for our fans to experience that, I'm looking forward to it. I know the community is looking forward, our fans, and it should be a great night.
Ben Olsen, head coach of Houston Dynamo FC, thanks for being on Sports Extra with us.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.